Welcome everybody to the Sports Culture, all things sports. It's Jay Banfo, and we got to talk about Draymond Green and Austin Rivers. But before we get into that, like, comment, share, subscribe, and thanks for your support. So whenever you talk about beef between NBA players, it's usually on the basketball court. But in 2026, beef tends to happen more behind a microphone. It's a product of everybody having a voice and a platform to give their opinion on anything. At times, it could get oversaturated and dull, but as a content creator myself, I guess I can appreciate the craft. So, exactly why am I saying all of that? Well, we have Draymond Green, the four-time NBA champion with the Golden State Warriors, and former NBA player Austin Rivers having an interesting back and forth between each other. So, in this video, I'm going to break everything down and explain who won the battle of words. Now, it all started with Draymond Green discussing his career on his own podcast. He felt like Steve Kerr, the head coach with the Warriors, held him back offensively.
Things he's done that I can never forgive him for, and yet I will do anything for him. When you spend 14 years with someone, when you've had the runs that we've had, playing the role that I've had to play and being who I've had to be, some things like that are going to happen. Everything hasn't just been one way. It hasn't just been like, oh man, Draymond did this, Steve's mad. I don't take that any way at all. Speaking of this December thing, I spoke to him after that and it was like, I don't think you like me. I don't think you've ever liked me, if I'm honest. Like, he cried. Like, really? However, what he's meant to me in my life, what he's taught me in my life, just telling him in our exit interview, the things that he's taught me about being a winner, I'm not sure where else I could have got that. I played for Tom Izzo, and Steve just took that to a completely different level, and especially showing me things about this level and winning. Like, I could never repay him for that. It's so important to who I've become. As much as he's done for me in basketball, a part of me think he's hindered me in my career and what I could have become. When KD came from 2016 on, I have not had a play in our playbook. Not a single play that we run for me in our playbook since 2016. But if you're going to take one gripe and not be able to move past it for all the other things, then you're shallow as a person. That says more about you as a person than it does about Steve or whoever else in that instant. You got to take the good with the bad, man.
So yes, Draymond did give a lot of credit and praise to Steve Kerr. But when he talked about KD arriving to go to state and never getting a play ran for him, that just threw me off. I'll explain why later, but I want to further explain the back and forth between Draymond and Austin Rivers first. So after Draymond threw crazy shots at Steve Kerr, Austin Rivers, who is now in the media as a basketball analyst for NBC Sports, went on a Dan Patrick show to disagree with Draymond Green.
I'll leave you with this. Draymond Green on his podcast had this to say about his head coach, Steve Kerr.
Oh, man, I knew this was coming.
As much as he's done for me in basketball, a part of me think he's hindered me in my career and what I could have become. When KD came from 2016 on, I have not had a play in our playbook. Not a single play that we run for me in our playbook since 2016. But if you're going to take one gripe and not be able to move past it for all the other things, then you're shallow as a person. That says more about you as a person than it does about Steve or whoever else in that instant. You got to take the good with the bad, man.
Can he be right in both cases that he wasn't featured at all? But, I mean, how do you feature Draymond Green?
Feature him doing what?
I don't know.
Feature him doing what?
I'm trying to be fair to the context of this.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's utter ridiculous. And you know what's shocking? Because Draymond has such he has such a high IQ. That's a big part of his game is how smart of a basketball player he is. So it bewilders me that he even thinks like this, because it's like, Draymond, them taking a chance on you and them playing you and Steve putting you at the forefront of that offense, making you be the point forward and kind of the, letting allow you to have that voice and the freedom to have your, whether it's spasms or when he loses it, or to be the emotional leader of that team. Steve let him be who he was. So to hear he was hindered, especially Draymond's never been an offensive scorer juggernaut. He's left open 80% of the game. No one guards him. And because he's such a high IQ player, he's been able to take that and be a free screener for Steph, Clay. He's been this enforcer. He does all these things defensively to dominate. I don't know what way he was hindered and why they would ever draw up plays for you to score. You were never a scorer. In fact, the teams would have loved it. If you were shooting, it'd be much better than Steph not, or Clay or Kevin not. It's just ludicrous. I don't even know where he got this from. If Draymond was on another team in the NBA, I don't know what his career would have looked like.
He wouldn't be a Hall of Famer.
No. And that's not a slight to Draymond because he is in the Hall of Fame. So it's like, take the fact that the guy that helped you get there is the guy you're saying hindered you. I don't understand I don't get it. Dre, and I love Dre. I love his competitive. I love everything about Dre. We got drafted in the same class. He's too smart of a basketball player to genuinely think this. There's no way. He's just too good.
So everything Austin Rivers said was 100% facts. Draymond is a hell of a basketball player, and he will be in the Hall of Fame. He's always been a great defender, but on offense, he wasn't a threat. And that's not being disrespectful. That's just the truth. Steve Kerr was able to maximize Draymond Green, and Austin Rivers broke it down to the point that it just can't be disputed. But Draymond Green responded, and he took the conversation to a whole nother level.
I like to get in these back and forths because, quite honestly, guys that you usually get into the back and forths with, they become back and forths because it's like one of them like severely tips something this way and the other just like kind of so far down that it kind of pulls you back a little bit. And so, speaking of Austin Rivers, I saw he said he's bewildered and it's ridiculous of what I said. And I just find it interesting that a guy who was the 10th pick in my draft, I was 35, who's on his second act, I'm still on act 1. He goes, Draymond, never been a scorer. Austin, you and I averaged the same amount of points in high school. And I say high school because that's when you were at your best. And then in college, he was still good. He was very featured at Duke because NBA careers, should he really talk about my NBA career? I'm still with my first team. He was gone from his first team in 2 years. The guy received the biggest bailout in U.S. history prior to President Trump bailing out the airlines when his dad gave him $42 million. And I tip my hat to Doc. I pray that I can give DJ $200 million or give Deuce $250 million. I pray that I can do that one day. I love how people just go take the 15 seconds that they want to take and make it a headline. But I really enjoyed watching Austin Rivers be bewildered.
Man, I really can't stand Draymond Green. I just don't understand his logic. Austin Rivers had a hell of a career at all levels, but Draymond belittled him to nothing. So why did Draymond get personal? Because that's just what he does. Rivers didn't say anything wrong, and I believe 99% of all NBA players feel how Austin Rivers feels. Draymond was extremely lucky. Now, to be honest, I thought that was going to be it, but I was extremely wrong. Austin Rivers responded in a 3-minute video that was surprisingly methodical. He didn't scream, he didn't yell, and he didn't get personal. The only thing that was missing was the ether beat.
This is ridiculous. Seriously. Ridiculous. But you know what? I'm going to address it because you crossed the line and you were mad disrespectful for whatever reason. You've been around too long. We both were drafted in the same class. The fact that you don't have the wherewithal to do your due diligence and actually understand I was being highly complimentary of you on the Dan Patrick Show, but it's you, and I shouldn't be surprised. You always act irrationally, emotionally immature, and your anger always puts you in hot water. So here I am having to address a video of you belittling my career. First off, Draymond, we weren't the same players in high school. I don't care about our numbers being similar. I did it at the national level, the top level. Hence why I got the Naismith Award, and I got pretty much every award you can think of in high school. I was ranked number 1. You were ranked, I don't know. So cut it out. Next. College, you actually were a really good college basketball player, but it's hard to compare because I was only there for 6 months. Something you could never do. Talk about I was, one of the featured guys. No, I was the guy. I led my team in scoring. I was first team All-ACC, freshman player of the year, lottery pick. Stop. Next. The NBA, hey man, you got it, Dre. I mean, listen, I played in the NBA for more than 10 years, more than a decade, but 11 years, but I'm not a Hall of Famer like you. So I'll give you that credit. All right, you got it. But let's peel back that onion and understand why. Easy, Tiger. Okay, you have the delusion, the non-wherewithal, the irony of you saying I'm part of the biggest bailout in NBA history. Draymond, you were the luckiest basketball player I think I've ever seen, especially in modern day history. Let's talk about that. You were drafted to a franchise with the Hall of Fame front office, Bob Myers, Hall of Fame coach Steve Kerr, the greatest shooter of all time, and perhaps the top 5 player of all time, Steph Curry, Hall of Famer. One of the greatest shooters, top 5 shooter of all time, another Hall of Famer, Klay Thompson. The Swiss Army knife himself, the guy who could do a little bit of everything on the floor, Andre Iguodala, another Hall of Famer. I know, keep up, it's a lot of talent. Not to mention one of the most lethal scorers of all time and arguably a top 10 player of all time, Kevin Durant, the same guy you chased off because of this, your mouth, you talk too much. And that's not even counting the plethora of talent around those guys. The Sean Livingstons, the Barbosas, the Andrew Wiggins, the Jordan Pooles, who you also chased off. Cut it out. Draymond, you're the backpack jump shooter. You're the guy that everyone leaves open. No one guards you. There are hours and hours and hours of film of just you being left wide open. In fact, anybody can just YouTube or Google or watch any Draymond game ever, and he's open all game. There are clips of you getting a rebound and just driving in a straight line and just getting a wide open layup because everyone's fanning out to guard the actual talent on the team. Talk about Steve Kerr hindered your career. Bro, Steve Kerr made your career. How dare you? Coming at me? Are you kidding me? I wish I could give my son $200 million if I was a coach. Yo, the NBA doesn't give coaching jobs to guys who may or may not sucker punch one of the players and staff. You need to fall back, Dre. Let's just be frenemies.
That ether that make your soul burn slow. Man, Austin Rivers had nothing but valid points in his rebuttal. Draymond did get lucky with being on the Warriors. He's always left open because he can't shoot. And yes, Steve Kerr helped and didn't hinder his career. So yeah, Austin Rivers clearly won that battle. I'm not even sure if Draymond responds, but if he was smart, he'll just keep quiet. Seriously, what can he even say as a comeback? Draymond went personal while Austin Rivers stayed with the facts. One was loud, the other was calm. One looked like a complete fool, while the other looked smart and mature. So all I can say is score that battle for Austin Rivers. Now, with that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.